play, but they can't do it at school.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Now,
And so, do you have a curriculum that you are obliged to follow?
yes, I have. Do you mean program? Special program for this?
Do you have a textbook that you have to do 10 pages every week or something like that?
I have a program, and I need to do. It's only three times a week, and they need to do. In Russia, we have a very. I don't know why it's a very hard textbook for children. Maybe when Russia thinks that all kids learn English from 5 years old. I think, but the textbook which I use is very hard for them.
And so, are they beginners?
No, they're not beginners. It's I think third year.
Third year.
Third or fourth? Third, I think so. Yes.
Do they have to conjugate verbs?
Sorry, I don't.
Conjugating a verb like I am, you are, he is.
Yes, they don't know. They must know difference between I am and I was, but they don't know it. Yes, it's very hard to explain what does it mean and something like that.
English verbs are much more difficult than Russian verbs.
Oh, I'm delighted to hear that.
I don't think so. I think
so.
English easier because you just need to remember only 3 forms of the irregular verb and 1 to 2 form of irregular verbs. Just add ed. But in Russia it's a lot of I don't know. It's online. A lot of exception. Yeah.
Yes, lots of exceptions.
Exception.
Well, I don't know. I tell my students that Russian verbs are easy. Well, except for aspect. Except for aspect. That's hard. Well, that's very interesting. Now, when you describe your students as disinterested and kind of easily distracted, you know, a lot of people might say that those are stereotypes, that you're describing stereotypical 11 and 12-year-old kids, that all 12, 11 and 12-year-old kids are like this. Whether there's English or mathematics or anything, huh? Do you think that's a stereotype, Olga?
A stereotype, yeah.
Is that a stereotype?
I don't know. My stereotype, they don't want to study, they want just playing.
They want to play. That's just Konstantin. Do you think that's a stereotype which he's describing?
What does Olga said?
Yeah. about her students?
What do you like?
I think it's a sex. In fact, this age, in this age, children want to play, and I think it will be good if we use a game as a study program, maybe. That's a study in play.
Study and play.
Yeah.
And you know what else is going on, Olga, and 11 and 12, and they are right on the border between being children and being young adults. And all of those hormones are raging, testosterone, and with young boys. And do you think maybe that's part of it? Puberty.
Maybe.
Oh, good luck to you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you. Now let's see, can all of you see the picture on the screen? Speaking of stereotypes. Speaking of stereotypes, Olga Suchinskaya, it's good to see you this morning. Let's see, we haven't heard from you. Are you there? Suchinskaya, нет. Olga Suchinskaya. Oh, there you are.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning to you. It's good to see you. Huh? We're going to continue our discussion about stereotypes today. And last time we talked about national stereotypes or other kinds of stereotypes. Today we're going to emphasize gender stereotypes, and I'm hoping that each of you had an opportunity to work on the survey. Olga, have you prepared a report on the survey about characteristics of Americans and Russians?
Me?
Hmm?
Me?
You did?
Yeah, I asked some of my
okay. And do you have will you have a presentation? Yeah. Will you have a presentation later?
No, I can't. I don't have to. I can only say a few words about my conduct.
Well, touch your microphone, please.
Is it better, no?
Yes.
Okay.
That's better. And Olga Vasina, have you prepared a presentation for today?
Sorry, I don't have presentation, but I have a lot of papers of my friends
Okay.
about Americans and Russian people.
Okay.
And I can start. Can I start?
Okay. And Konstantin, have you prepared a presentation?
A very little presentation.
Okay. Well, we will work with those toward the end of our meeting. Olga Suchinskaya, back to you. So you see the picture on the screen.
Yes.
The picture on the screen, and what do we have here? What is this picture? What's this? Who is this man?
An angry man with a gun. He is the hero of one of the famous movie, not movie, how in English, multfilm.
Simpsons.
Simpsons.
It's a cartoon. It's a cartoon.
Cartoon.
In Russian, do you still call them multfilmy?
Multfilmy, yes.
Multfilmy, okay. So that's an interesting word, Professor Marston. Multfilm, like a multiple film. That's the Russian word for animated cartoon.
And animation.
Very descriptive.
Animation.
Yeah.
So where do you think this person lives? This person with the guns?
Texas.
In America.
Well, more precisely, more precise. In America, but where in America?
In South of America.
South. How about when we say South, we mean Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi, those kinds of states. This man is from Texas. This man is from Texas. He's a Texan, and he's from the Wild West. The Wild West. You know this expression? The Wild West. So what about this man tells you that he's a Texan? Konstantin, what about this man tells you that he's a Texan?
The hate, I think.
How do you know that this? Huh? Yeah. How do you know that he lives in the cowboy hat? Exactly.
The hat, the guns, and I don't know, and he's almost brown.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to say.
Well, he's just yellow. I mean, that's the.
He has his color under the sun of Texas.
Right. Okay. And he's wearing this unusual tie, a necktie. This kind of necktie is called a bolo tie. A bolo tie.
It is a specific tie.
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Western. It's part of a Western wear.
Bolo tie.
Bolo.
Sound. Bolo.
B-O-L-O. Bolo tie. So look. So we describe. We say, well, he's a Texan because he carries 2 guns, 2 6-guns, 2 revolvers, and because he's wearing a bolo tie, because he has a big hat. Now, do you think that that's a true image of a Texan, or is that a stereotype of a Texan?
It is old-fashioned stereotype.
Well,
it's old-fashioned stereotype.
Yeah.
Very, very old-fashioned stereotype.
Right.
It's stereotype. What do you think, Olga Suchinskaya? Do you agree with that?
Yes, I think it's an old stereotype.
Mm-hmm. It's an old stereotype. When I travel to Russia, and people say, "Well, where are you from?" I say, "I'm from Texas." And they say, "Do you have a horse? Do you have a gun?" They ask me these questions. Is it the desert? Do you have
a horse?
Do I have a horse? No, I don't have a horse.
What a
but I'll
pity.
tell you what I do have. I do have a hat. I do have a hat.
It's not really a cowboy hat, though.
No, this is a farmer's hat. This is a farmer's hat.
I have the same hat. And I'm not from Texas.
You're not from Texas. Do you wear your hat when you are driving your metro?
No. When I work in my garden under Moscow.
Exactly. Well, the hat keeps the sun off your face, and it keeps the rain off from getting your clothes wet. It's a very practical hat. It was originally worn by cowboys, and so sure, that's stereotypical. But now it's worn by businessmen and lawyers who wear these cowboy hats and who also wear cowboy boots, those very elaborate boots. It gives them that kind of image of the Wild West. Independent, resourceful, brave, courageous. The Wild West. The Wild West.
So what other stereotypes can you think of about Texas? When I say Texas to you, besides the things we've talked about, what else do you know about Texas, knowing?
Very little. We know that Texas is. I thought that Texas is a South state, but it is. Professor Lero said that it is a Wild West state.
We would call it a southwestern state.
I thought that there are many Mexicans, many Latins there, and I don't know exactly, but it was a Mexican territory in 19th century.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
It was.
And,
It was indeed. In fact, March 2nd, is celebrated as Texas Independence Day. It's a holiday.
independence
It's the
from
day
Mexico.
From Mexico. It's the day when Texas won its independence from Mexico. Texas Independence Day. Well, good. Elena, it's good to have you this morning.
Hi.
Oh,
Good morning to you. Listen, we're continuing our conversation about stereotypes.
Yeah,
And
here.
we're specifically talking about stereotypes of Texans. Do you have any images of Texans?
Of Texans?
Texans, yeah.
because
For today, it's more like a farmer place, garden place, and a lot of cows.
A lot of cows. Okay, so that's very good. Parts of that are true. Parts of that are absolutely correct. And I think that's one point.
Ooh, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I can't help myself.
Okay, go ahead.
It's this word farmer.
Huh?
Yeah, that word and garden, those two words, Nick, all of the years that I lived in Texas, it makes me crazy because they're not farmers in Texas, they're ranchers.
Ranchers.
Oh, yeah.
That's the big difference. Farmers grow crops, but ranchers raise cattle. And in the Wild West, now mostly historic, there were great battles, literally battles between ranchers and sheepmen, because sheep. Oh, see, there's the range. What is the range? Do you know? They still have range in Texas. What is that? It has to do with cattle and sheep. Rangeland is unfenced prairie. Oh, good, I was looking for that word. And sheep, when they eat grass, cut the grass shorter than cows do. Cows can't graze after sheep because the sheep eat it so close that the cows would starve to death. So ranchers hate sheepmen, and they don't like farmers either, because farmers plow the soil and plant it in crops, and then you have fences then.
There was a musical comedy, a Broadway play from the 1950s called Oklahoma by Rodgers and Hammerstein, a very famous composer and lyricist. And if you ever have a chance to see this film, Oklahoma, I'd encourage you to watch it. It's very easy to understand, but it illustrates the tension between the sheepmen, the farmers, and the ranchers. Oklahoma. They're a very famous song. And the refrain from it is, Oklahoma is okay. Oklahoma, okay. All right, well, let's see. Now, I wonder, Professor Marston, if we ought to do begin our conversation about the gender roles in America.
Oh, yes. Well, I think the gender role is one that I have started to write about on the club blog. And Constantine, I really liked your response, and you made me think about it quite a bit. And I'm going to write something longer after our class is over, after my lunch. And
thank you very much.
That should address some of them, but I would like also more people to write about it. But today we have another way of looking at this. Let me see if I can get you to look at.
I'm going to make you the presenter. There you go.
Okay. These are like this. We want to look at chart 1. And so, do you all see chart 1? This is a survey from the Pew Trust, and it's in dual income households with children, the average number of hours spent each week by fathers and mothers. Does everyone see that?
Yes, I see it.
So this is a recent poll by the Pew Research Center dated 2013. And so this is up to date, I would say. So we're comparing the amount of time fathers spend and mothers spend and how it's broken down. So what can you tell us about the amount of time each parent spends on child care according to the Pew Trust?
I think
Well-
that I think that mothers spend more time with child care the child. But their work less work. I think.
They
think
work
it's
less.
different, no?
Yes.
The fathers
This
work
is about
more.
paid work. This is about paid work. That's different than unpaid work. And so, what about housework? Cleaning and cooking and that sort of thing.
The women works more than men. They work about 16 hours. Mothers. Fathers work 9 hours. It's I don't know. It's maybe I have some men chauvinism, but it's a proper relation.
It's
And
you think it's proper? It's correct?
Yes, it's correct because men work for money and women work as a householder.
Mm-hmm.
She spent more time with the child.
Mm-hmm.
It's a natural feature of women's.
Mm-hmm. This is a survey in America. Konstantin, do you think a survey in Russia would have similar results?
I think that results
Would be similar, Okay, so
Would
and
be
you think it's
similar,
proper?
yes.
This is okay. This is okay. Olga Vasina, do you think this is proper? That this is okay, or do you think it could be changed or something different?
I don't know. I think that mothers need to work less time because it's good for children where the mother near, and it's because when mother work a lot and don't take care about their children, they grow very they have bad manners, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and
then when they go to school, they just play games all the time. Like that. And they frustrate their teacher. When you were growing up, was this your experience?
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. When
And
you were
I
a
think-
child?
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot what I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh.
Olga Suchinskaya. What do you think? Now you have 2 children, as I remember. Is that right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And so how does your experience as a mom correspond with what you see here?
Yes, I have to work a lot, and my husband is spend more time with my children than me. Maybe it's a not usual situation for Russia, but it's a usual situation for my family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. That's
And
interesting.
so, looking at your situation, which is unusual, you say, except for your family, do you have people who say you're not a very good mother because you don't spend very much time with your children?
No, I've never heard such things. So for me, I don't know how to say. Most of people who know me, they realize that I must work. I have to work because maybe the situation in my family, I don't know how to say. It is better for my children if I will work and earn money for my family.
Okay, that's good. All right. Well,
I want to say that now I think in Russia a lot of mothers work more than fathers. I think so, because I know it's a lot of business ladies in very famous women, business women. It's very famous now not only in Russia, in the world maybe. A lot of women in more women in politics, politicians, and the business ladies, women. I think so. Because I know a lot of women who work more than their husbands.
I remember when I was in school reading a short story by a woman named Natalia Baranskaya called Nedelya как Nedelya. It was written in 1969, during Soviet times. And have any of you ever heard of this story?
No.
Konstantin, have you?
No, I have not.
No? Natalia Baranskaya.
No, it's first.
And it's the story of a woman, a wife, and a mother who had a job. And she was married, and she not only did she do her own work, but she also did all of the housework. When the weekend came, she spent her whole weekend doing housework. Anyway, it's an interesting story, and sometimes I wonder, as I listen to you, Olga, both of you, I wonder if things have not changed so much. Oh, we have a new slide, Professor Marston.
Yes, as you begin to tell about the past, I thought I would bring up this slide, which talks about how things were in 1965, in 1990, and in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Contrasting, again, women's roles and men's roles. So, so some of you will be able to think back about your childhood and see if you think this might be accurate for you and your experience. What do you think? Irena, you're being quiet today.
Sorry. I just started at work, so.
You had to work. Oh, biedna. Poor thing.
So, what I should say?
This is a historical snapshot of times in the past. So my question was, can you think back about your childhood and what happened when you were a child. Would this apply to your own childhood experience in terms of mother's roles and father's roles?
Actually not.
Oh, so tell us.
It's totally different between father and mother, because I also spend more time with my father, and my mother spend more time for paid work.
Oh.
Yeah. So the father was who spent a lot of time for housework and childcare.
Oh.
Yeah.
Konstantin, what is your experience that you remember as a child? Was this a more stereotypical position? Tell me about your childhood.
I was born in 1960, and it's close to 1965. And I remembered my parents' work in equal parts. They were both engineers, and they work hard, but when I was ill, my mother cared with me. I don't know, or care about me, and she took care of me. Thank you. She care of me, and she stay at home and wait when I will be healthy and wise. And now, at present, I don't know. We have we have adult children, but when they was younger, I worked for wage more than my wife. And now it is irrelevant who is work more or less, because children.
In the news report that was in the links that we gave you, the commentator on American public media used the word breadwinner. That now, whereas traditionally the father used to be the breadwinner, now families have two breadwinners. Do you all know this expression, breadwinner? Olga, Elena, breadwinner?
Yeah.
Breadwinner? What's a breadwinner? Olga Suchinskaya, what's the breadwinner?
The man or the woman who bring the bread at home.
Bring the bread. Sometimes, bring the person who brings the bread home. Sometimes bread means money. Bread means money. Do you know this gesture?
Yes.
So, and as I listened to you, Olga, you explained that you are the breadwinner. You're the principal breadwinner in your family now. You're the principal breadwinner in your family. That is now that's not a traditional role. That's not a traditional role, and it's the case that that traditional roles. We talk about traditional roles, but if you look at these two charts side by side, you can see that the traditional roles are changing. That roles change. That roles change. And the role of fathers is to do more childcare and more housework, and the role of mothers is changing to do more paid work, and less housework, and relatively speaking, less childcare.
And Konstantin, your adult children don't have children of their own yet, I guess.
No, in church and churches. I don't. They are not married.
So then you'll be able to see another round, another generation, and how they deal with that sort of thing. So let me show you another chart. This is about raising children, and this is Americans who say the ideal situation for young children is to have a mother who works a varying amount of time. So we haven't talked at all, so one thing that I'd like to talk about, take into consideration after we talk about this, is to find out if there are other family members that help with child care, because this survey doesn't talk about that at all. And I think for some more traditional American families, that can play a large role, especially for people with small children. But let's see what you think about this. What do you think is the ideal situation for young children?
To be all time with mom, I think.
So you would say that it would be good for a woman not to work at all outside the home.
Yes, when children is very small, maybe about from 2 to 5 years old, I think it's mother mustn't work to be with children, and then maybe after 5 years, I think she can have a part-time work, and then maybe later, after 4 or 5 years, maybe she can have full time, but not so far from home, because a lot of time you spend in the transport. It's better to spend this time with children.
And at what age do children start going to school or preschool or kindergarten?
In Russia?
Yeah.
6 years old. But they have maybe 3 or 4 lessons, just 3 hours at school, and when while they are at school, mother can work, I think. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's because I need my mom in my childhood, because I needed help with my homework, with other problems, but I need to wait my mom, and only in the evening I can ask her about some problems, but I had a lot of small time, and I need some problems, and in 15, maybe 16, I have the same problems, and I needed to decide my problem, the same problems.
My granddaughter is 11, and my daughter and her husband both help with homework. He always does math, and in particular math. My daughter is a scientist, and so she always helps with the science part, but she doesn't like to help with math, so she does other things, writing and English. And so they divide it up. And but my son-in-law travels a lot, so when he's gone, then my daughter has to do all the help, and that she thinks is very hard. So let's see, what about you, Olga S? Suchinskaya, is that how you say your last name? Yes. The slow learner. What do you think about the ideal situation for young children is to have a mother who works a certain amount of time? Your situation is not typical, and you have first-hand experience with how this works for you. So I'm asking this question not only from your personal experience, but the ideal situation, and maybe those are the same.
I think that ideal situation when a mother works a part of time, and a woman must spend more time with her children, I think, more than me. My children, when I come home, they usually told me they were missing me, that they wanted to spend more time with me, that they wanted to go with me to the park or something like that. That I meet their mother,
but they don't go to the park with your husband?
Yes, they go to the park with my husband or with their grandmother who helps.
Okay, so what about you, Irena? What do you think is the ideal situation?
Well, actually, it's hard for me to say because I had not typical situation in the family, and by myself, I still don't think about the family and the children. I think about the career. So it's hard for me to say, actually.
Let me ask you just a hypothetical question. Okay.
Okay.
Say you meet this wonderful guy. This wonderful guy, and you say, "Oh my goodness, this is the man for me. I've been waiting for this man all my life." So, and the two of you are talking about your future together, and he feels the same way about you, and he says, "Oh, Irena, you know what? I want to have 3 kids, and I want you to stay home and take care of the kids. That's what I want you to do. And I will work, and I will be the breadwinner." And, and so then what will you do? This is just a hypothetical question.
Yeah, but it's not a simple one.
Irena, may I help you? No, I just have an example. Because 2 years ago, I think only about career. I think only I want to have a good work and blah blah blah. But after when I met one man, one guy, and after that I changed my mind, and now I only have part work and sit at home cooking, and yeah.
No, I have just the one point about this question, that I don't think that I will be with the man who wants that I will be just a housewife. Okay. It's not my type, so.
All right. Well, you know your mind, as we say in English. You know your own mind.
I think it depends on guys.
Depends on the guy.
Okay, so we want to ask the guy now, Konstantin. I have a question for you, not in terms of your own experience, but what you would like for your adult children. What do you think?
What do you think about ideal picture for my children, for my sons?
Yes, for your grandchildren.
For my grandchildren. I think that mothers who not work at all is preferred than mother who work full time or part time. At least for 3 or 4 years, maybe before school. And I don't know. It would be nice if our wives don't work at all. And as we said last time, Kinder, Kuche und Kirche.
Kinderkuche, Kirche.
Yeah.
Konstantin, are there many women who are Maschinisten?
Could you repeat?
Are there women who are metro drivers?
No. There was. At present, there are no women who are engine driver.
Okay.
But some years ago, there was some women who drive. But our bosses decided that it is too difficult for women and forbidden the women's work as engine driver. They work in metro. They work as operator, as cleaner,
administrators,
cleaner,
as station duty, as I don't know, dispatcher.
Dispatchers?
Dispatcher, yes. There are many works for women in metro, but at present there are no machinists.
Okay.
Oh, I have the question about that work, because it's also been a huge issue for the American military. And so what was it that your bosses thought would be too difficult for women to do? Is it required for them to be strong?
I can't say. It's women have some natural natural features for our work. And it isn't because the engine driver must be strong. It is because I don't know how to say in proper company.
Okay, well, let's just change the subject.
There are some features for women.
I understand. I think usually the way you explain that is to say men have more upper body strength. Let's see, I'm hoping that we will have time to show presentations. And Irena, are you prepared to make a presentation today? I asked everybody else when we began, but you joined us a little late. Irena, do you have a presentation ready?
Yes.
And the other and the others, Konstantin and Olga, would you be able to make your presentations next week?
Okay.
Okay.
No problem.
Professor, no problem. Professor Marston, if it's okay with you, shall we have Irena make her presentation?
Sure.
If you could pass her, there you go. Okay.
I don't want to be alone.
You're not alone. You're surrounded with friends.
We're with friends.
And we're all going to talk.
But as you are uploading your material, Irena, I want to observe to all of us that I am very delighted with the way you are approaching this course, and very pleased with the level of your participation, and particularly pleased with your skill in English and in what I would call critical thinking. It's terrific. It's wonderful.
And I would second that. I really look forward to being with this group, and I look forward to reading what you write and responding to it. It is definitely one of the highlights of my week is working with you, and I'm very pleased to do it.
So can everyone see the presentation?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I made in the presentation about the interview that we were should to do. And the general question was, what do you think about Americans and about Russians viewed by Americans? So I asked 10 young people, asked females and males in the age from 18 till 25. The first general question was, what do you think about Americans? The answers was quite similar. It was 3 answers actually, that Americans hiding their real feelings but still smiling a lot and very polite. The second one is Americans know their rights and fighting for them, not as Russians. And the third one, Americans life better than Russian life. It's the social, money, and all kind of this job. The second general question was, what do you think about Russians viewed by Americans? It also was the 3 similar answers, quite similar. That Russians rude and serious, Russians are enemies, and Russians are crazy.
Irena, let me interrupt you. You know that we did a similar class earlier today with students in Omsk, and one of the answers that came up to this question very frequently was that Russians drank all the time. That they drank vodka. That was not your experience.
Well, the people that I asked, they didn't say about that actually.
Okay, all right, all right.
They said that the Russians are enemies and kind of they have a lot of weapons and bombs and kind of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the negative answers also was about on the question, what do you think about Americans? So the first one is that Americans not so clever, and the second one that a lot of Americans fat, but they don't care about that. Yeah. The special questions, I choose the 3 special questions. The first one, do you think that the ban on adoption of Russian kids by Americans is a political decision, or it's a sign that Russian authorities really want to protect Russian kids? So all 10 people said that it's a political decision. The second question was, what would happen if Pussy Riot performed in the church in the USA? So the answers was different. The 3 people said they would have been just pay some ban. The 5 people said that they would have been condemned by society but not arrested. And the 2 people said that they would have been arrested, the same as in Russia. And the last question was, are Americans friends or enemies to Russian? Well, I think it was the hardest question, and 7 people said that they are enemies, and 2 people said that friends, but just don't talk about the political aspect, and just 1 girl said that no one, because we're too different, I mean the Americans and Russians, and today we're not friends and can be, but to be enemies there is no sense. Yeah.
Very interesting.
So, and my resume in the end, that Russian society still lives and think by stereotypes, even young people, and someone many years ago said that Americans are enemies, and Americans think about Russians as about rude, crazy, and civilized nation. So till today, a lot of people think in such way, and it's hard to change these stereotypes, especially when general female and male can hear about political relationships between Russian and Americans today. And in the last few pictures about stereotypes that I found. Meanwhile in Russia, Russian Adidas. And the last one, guess the country by the face expression. So, that's all.
Wow.
I want a picture of the bear. I have a special fondness for bears, and that picture of the bear, that caught my attention.
Irena, thank you very much. That was very well done, and you have set a good precedent for your fellow students. Thank you very much. Were you surprised at some of these answers?
Well, actually not, because I think that a lot of people really think like this and think that today that Russians and Americans can be friends because of political relationships and political situation today.
It is complicated, yeah.
Yeah.
The rest of you said that you had conducted some work. Do you have any preliminary conclusions or any preliminary notes? Olga Vasyna, I know you said that you had your notes on paper. Do you want to kind of give us a little preview of what we can expect next week?
Oh, I can say some words about it. It's really interesting because I have I even have a picture of one friend. It's Russia. It's about Russia, and this is about
America.
America.
So, ooh, wonderful. Hamburgers, pistols, and cars.
Big cars.
And American flags.
Yeah.
И какие картинки русских там? What kind of what the shows us the pictures of the Russians again? Balalaika, bear, vodka and a pickle. Oh, super! Vodka and a pickle, and what else is there? Oh, a fur hat. Yeah, sure. Okay, well that's it. Those are good.
Yes, one of my friends drew it for me. It's how I say it, picture stereotypes. Your stereotypes in pictures, and it's very funny. And I asked my parents about the stereotypes to Americans, and I think because they live in Soviet Union, they very they don't say anything about Americans because they maybe they not very critical to them, and they said only that it's not only my parents and my friends and some of my friends said that Americans are the same people as Russians, only from another country. And typical men, typical people, and I know about American. One of my friends wrote that they like cars, big cars. They're very not very, but not very rude, but maybe in some about some news that in America sometimes kills people. In our news we heard about kills people in America, and one of my friends said that a little
one of the
it's a little savage maybe.
One of the things that some people think is different about Americans and Russians is that Russians have Ruskaya dusha. Ruskaya dusha. Russian. This is what one of the things that forms the Russian people. What could you explain, Olga Suchinskaya, what a Ruskaya dusha is and what that means to you? Is there such a thing as a Amerikanskaya dusha? What do you think? Olga, what is a Ruskaya dusha?
Expression between Russian maybe like to ask their neighborhood to visit them, to make a dinner for them. Trying to each other to speak for the
Irena, what do you think? What's a Ruskaya Dusha?
Well, it's a hard question for me. Because I think already today is a Russian soul. It could be not just from the good part. Yes. In the period of the USSR, I think this phrase, the Russian soul, was very popular, and it's talked about the deep soul and open soul who care about every people and want to help everyone, and who will die for their country, for their nation. But today it's kind of changed, and it's already hard to talk about Russian soul, as I think.
All right. Konstantin, is there such a thing as a Russian soul?
Russian soul. You see, I think that Russian soul is a foreign expression, not Russian. I heard it many times, Ruskaya Dusha, but it isn't a popular term in Russia. Nobody have conversation about Russian soul between Russians. But I don't know why many foreign famous people speak about this phenomenon as a Russian soul. What is it, Russian soul? What is the difference between Russian soul, German soul, or American soul? I don't know. I think it's the same.
I think it's applied on the historical experience.
Okay. All right. Olga Vasina, what do you think?
About the Russian soul? I think it's Russian soul is because Russian people are very social. They like to be in between a lot of people, their relatives, and it's a wild soul. They can speak about your problems, your friends, about problems friends of friends, and